Okay, so now this is the extended video on tapping into intuitive guidance. I did a 1-minute video on Instagram where I said, I can't talk about it here, it's too big of a topic. I just did a 10-minute video that I posted on IGTV where I talked about this topic and then I ran out of time in 10 minutes. So now I'm doing a video that I'm going to talk about intuitive guidance as long as I feel like. I'm going to get it all out. I'm going to get it all out, okay? So here we go. Tapping into intuitive guidance. It's real. No joke. Like, when you do the experiment of surrendering your decision-making process to intuitive guidance, wow, is a wild, wild ride. I can tell you I'm doing it, and this video is a result of me doing that, actually, right now. I want to help break it down as much as possible through the Instagram, through Selfless Awakening. I've had people reaching out and looking for guidance around making decisions to go this way, to go that way with their lives, or just a lot of times very zoomed in particular things. And I've used tapping into my intuitive guidance as the way that I've been of service to them. I feel it's a very selfless thing. That's Selfless Awakening. This whole channel is about the selflessness awakening within us. And what I mean by that is, like, when I listen to be of service to someone, I'm tapping into this awareness, and I'm going to talk about it a bit, where ideas will come in that are not intuitive, and I know what those feel like for the most part. I still mess that up sometimes, but I'm getting pretty good at it. And the intuitive thoughts that are, and intuitive thoughts that are like revelatory, that are geniusy, that are, oh, that's a great idea. Like, oh, where's that come from? Like, I'm really learning how to do that. And here are the keys. Here's the way to do it. I got 3 things that I'm going to talk about in this video as far as how to do it. And I'm going to break them down as much as I feel, okay, and try to stay focused. I'm going to do it. It's such a great topic to unpack. Number 1, first thing is to learn how to listen for intuitive guidance. Second thing is, once you've learned how to listen, you need to learn how to discern which is the high vibrating intuitive guidance and which is the fear-based, low vibrating intuitive guidance. Number 3, once you've learned what it is, you need to develop the courage to do the experiment and follow it. So those are our steps. Listen, feel, discern the intuitive guidance by feeling it, which is what I'm going to talk about, break down. And the third one, which is jump in, do the experiment and try it and follow it, okay? First thing I want to talk about is listening. Listening is a meditative technique. There are lots of ways to meditate. We can meditate on our breath. We can meditate on inner body awareness. We can meditate through our chakras. We can do all sorts of ways of meditating. And this is a very specific type of meditating, the listening meditation. What you're doing is let's say that you have a decision you would like to make in your life. New job, something, maybe anything, finding a new partner, looking for direction in making a decision, and you feel unclear. What you do is you need to go into what I call this listening posture, okay? And here's what it feels like, and you learn how to extend it. It's very simple. Let's imagine we're kids and we're playing hide and seek, and you're hiding, you're hiding outside behind a bush, and you're listening. Ready? We're going to listen right now, like silly kids. All right? Be silly. Join me. Listen now. Is anyone coming? Like, imagine as a kid, you're like, is anyone coming? You know how that feels, right? And you're in this excited listening state. I swear to God, it's as simple as being able to stay in that. Okay? Now, let me go a little more specific and zoom in, because that's not enough of an answer for most adults. It's us being aware. With that little listening, when we do that active listening, our thoughts actually stop. Let's do it again and pay attention to that. Like, you're really like super listening. Like, imagine you're outside and you hear a rustle in the bushes and you're like, what is that? Let's imagine that right now. Listen, go. Were you able to get into that pretend state like you were as a child where you're like, because in that I was like, my thoughts went for a second as I was like, is something coming? Is something coming? That little emptiness there, that is the listening posture. Now, when we do that listening posture, our thoughts do stop, but we can get to a place where we are the listening posture while our thoughts are occurring. So we sort of zoom out, kind of, it almost feels like behind our head or in this awareness, and we're just aware of everything that comes in our head. Like right now, do this little experiment with me to help you. I'm going to help you get into a controlled listening situation. Start saying the alphabet in your head, okay? Now we're going to say it. We're going to say it together, and when my finger's up, you're going to be speaking it. When my finger goes down, you're going to say it in your head, and you'll hear me do it too. Okay? Here we go. Ready? Now, let me just say what the point is. As we're saying it out loud, the thoughts are coming out. When we stop saying it out loud, the thoughts are in our head. And we can be aware of that voice in our head all the time. Okay? And that's the name of the game. Here we go. So let's do it. A, B, C, G, H, I, J, K, S, T, U. Okay, you get the idea, right? So do you notice that you were aware of your thoughts? And that, what I call that awareness of thought, or that practice, I call that piloted thinking. We were actually hopping in the driver's seat of our thinking and saying, I'm going to say the alphabet in my head, okay? And it's from that state of thinking that we say prayers. And so this is, inside of this listening process, what we want to do many times is lob it out there, lob out a prayer. Universe, I need guidance on whether I should stay in college or whether I should drop out and join the circus, right? You need to throw that question out there. And then you throw that question out there, and then you go into this listening posture where you just hang out in that awareness and you just wait and you just listen. And if you can stay in that awareness, that like, what do I hear? What am I hearing? And you just listen to the thoughts coming in your head. Thoughts will start coming in your head and you can listen to them, all of them, which can be unsettling at first. And there's a whole separate topic of learning how to be at peace with whatever comes in your head. But that's something very real that we all need to learn how to do. But I'm not going to talk about that here. We're talking about tapping into intuitive guidance. So as you go into this listening posture, you'll start feeling these thoughts coming in. And you'll see, like, there will be thoughts that will be very clearly not intuitive because they're just mind running its mouth. Like, okay, first thing is like, I was feeling really uncomfortable yesterday. What's going on my car? Do I need to change the tires on my car? Oh, it was really funny that he made the comment the other day on Instagram that he was supposed to do that. Like, what's going on? Oh, it's so funny. Oh, this shirt's uncomfortable. I wonder what I should do. Oh, what am I doing with my shoulders? Like my jaw. Like that thinking. That is not intuitive guidance in there. Though it's just this is the mind that's churning information. It's a product of a lot of things, but we're not going to talk about that. But that thinking is not intuitive thinking. Intuitive thinking is this. And by the way, I want to say, back up. It's about feeling the intuitive guidance. It's feeling that. Like when you're in that thinking, that kind of pacing, that kind of just you're not focused, you're just mind's wandering, you're scrolling through Instagram, but not really paying attention. That state of being has a feeling to it. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel, you don't feel peaceful. You don't feel joyful, certainly. And you're not going to hear intuitive guidance if you're stuck in that. You can't. You're just going to hear whatever, you're identified with your mind at that point. So in the listening, you're able to hear that without judgment. You're able to hear that blah, 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 blah going on in your mind. And inside of that listening, when you allow that thinking to be there without attaching to it, the crazy thing starts to happen is it starts to slow down. It's almost like that thinking doesn't want you to be aware of it. It likes to be under the radar, because when you shine your presence onto that thinking, it doesn't like it, because it doesn't look good under the light, you know? So it goes, whoa, he's looking, get out of Dodge, right? Like that's what the thinking does. And so when you look at it, when you're willing to look at it without judgment, because that's a trick of that thinking, is to start getting you to, oh, look at you. You're such a crappy person for thinking all of this stuff. Look at, you know, the thinking is very clever, and it will try as much as it can to get you to identify with it. Okay? So as you listen and you just allow it all to be there, that question you posed, should I stay in college or go join the circus? You're going to feel that there will be some thoughts maybe that come around going to college or joining the circus. Maybe some fearful thoughts, right? Now we're moving into section 2 of identifying. Once we started listening and we can tap into that listening awareness, and we're able to listen to our thoughts all the time, good, bad, and the ugly, then we're ready for level 2, which is how do we feel the intuitive guidance. So that's kind of I moved on to that part of the video somewhere in what I was just saying. Okay, so feeling the intuitive guidance, like I was talking about feeling the monkey mind, the negative, the chatter that's just compulsive, that has a feeling. Another thing that has a feeling is the feeling of fear in your life. Fear has a voice too. Fear will say, don't go join the circus. How are you going to support yourself? What's the life on the road going to be like? Like that's this fear might say, you can't do that. You won't be able to have any food. It's going to be dangerous. You're going to get murdered. You're going to get killed. You're going to be living on the road. Horror, horror, horror. Like there will be a fear voice inside of you. Okay? And I'm not saying that we want to ignore the fear voice. Sometimes the fear voice has intuition bottled up in it. Like if you have intuitive guidance that something's wrong with your health, sometimes that fear has made an awareness of, oh, I need to go to the doctor. Other times it's just your fear going, fear, 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 fear. You're going to die, you're going to die. Because that's what fear likes to do. So sometimes fear can be a turning point for you in your life to say, oh, I'm going down the wrong path. Like it can be intuitive. It can be a fear can actually be a teacher for us. Okay? But we need to identify that. Many times the way fear plays out for us is it plays out in our minds like a limiting belief. Like we're holding on to some programming about ourselves that is stuck. That is, you don't deserve to be happy. You're not good enough. You're not worthy of finding a partner that really loves you. And you're living in this self-loathing, fearful, automated programming. That's really the thing. Like sometimes intuitive guidance may be to take care of yourself, and then your body is a wake-up call of fear. I've had that happen. But most of the time, the thing we're looking at really being able to discern is what's the limitations inside of you, the limiting part of you telling you. That fearful side, the side that doesn't want you to grow, doesn't want you to take risks, doesn't want you to get the most out of your life. That part of you has a voice. This concern, what are you doing? Is this going to work? I don't think this is going to work. Don't take the risk. Don't try it. Okay? There's that. So we need to learn how to understand when we're in a limited way of thinking. And then when we're in the feeling of, and by the way, feel. That has a feeling. That fear has a feeling. It's gross. Doesn't feel good, right? The perpetuation of fear based on our need to limit ourselves doesn't feel good to live in. Highest vibrating part. Let's talk about the true intuitive guidance, okay? And I believe it's not so. I'm breaking it down just to try to explain different aspects of it. But the reality is it's more like a spectrum of differences. There will be intuitive thoughts even more intuitive, thoughts even crazier, higher intuitive. And then there are thoughts that are like, whoa, I mean, God is talking through me right now. Whatever, intuitive, source energy, whatever word you want to use, if God's a no-no word for you. Like you're going to feel sometimes, like think about it right now. Think about moments when you've had a genius idea, like a crazy intelligent idea. You're like, where did that come from? You had an idea for an invention that then a year later became the biggest thing in the world, or you have this, or another way you could have an intuitive thought is, have you ever had this crazy feeling like, I swear I need to call somebody, and you haven't talked to them in a long time, like maybe a year or 2 years even, and then the phone rings and they call you the next day? Like, have you ever had moments like that? That's you being in alignment with intuitive guidance. When you're having stuff like that happen, that's intuition, okay? And so, where was I going with all this? Yeah, so I was breaking down the monkey mind, intuitive guidance. I mean, I've been talking about this for a while now, so maybe I'll wrap it up. Monkey mind, intuitive guidance. Then we have our fearful, limited thinking. Monkey mind guidance. Fearful thinking guidance. Intuitive guidance. Revelatory moments. Everybody, there seems to be, nobody wants to say aha moments, but Oprah's word. They're aha moments, moments where you're like, what? That's intuition. There is a feeling to it, a tangible thing. And the more that you live a life where you're at peace with all the thoughts that come in, and you live from this place of peaceful detachment, joyful detachment, which doesn't mean you're not involved in your life. It just means that you're at peace with everything that's coming up. When you live there, you can hear, though, you will feel more and more clarity on those intuitive ones. You're just going to feel it more and more, okay? It just automatically happens on this journey. That's just the way it works. So it's about you doing the practice of listening and then feeling the intuitive guidance. And the reason I want to say feeling is so important is because your mind is going to be very clever. Your fear, the thing inside of you that limits you is going to be very clever, and it's going to come up with the most brilliant reasons why you shouldn't grow. And it's going to tell you all of those and why it's going to come up with brilliant reasons why you're not good enough. And I'm telling you, even deeper, on a spiritual path, if you're on a spiritual path, it gets even smarter because it starts using your spirituality, and the fear can mask itself. Like, it'll say, no, I don't feel intuitively led to open my own business or do that. No, I feel that, like, it'll try to say that it's intuitive guidance when it's not. And how do you know when it's just your spiritual ego making decisions or when it's your true intuitive guidance? Here's my feeling on that. It's the feeling. Intuitive guidance, think about it. It has an aha feeling to it. It's like, oh, snap, that's a great idea. And if you think about that, if you have that, oh, snap, that's a great idea thing happen to you, and then the next day you still think about it and it's got that tingle to it, and then the next day you're like, ooh, it still got some charge. That still was a great idea. Guess what? Intuitive guidance, that's what that is. Sometimes we do have an intuitive idea, or what we think is an intuitive idea. That's why you have to wait to see if it persists. Is we'll have an intuitive idea and we'll be like, oh my God, that's it, what? Maybe we had a few too many drinks or something, and then the next day we wake up, we're like, that was the stupidest idea I've ever had. That's why we have to look at whether our feeling of the idea being a spark of aha, we have to see if it has that revelatory feeling for a couple days, for a little time, because that's going to be an even stronger indication that this is a higher vibrating, higher intuitive idea, okay? But it's a lot of listening and waiting. The ego is very impatient. The ego wants it right now. Like, universe, I need guidance on whether to join the circus or stay in college. Hello? I've been sitting here for like 4 seconds. Do you know how long 4 seconds is? Like, that's not how it works. You have to throw it out there, and then you just typically the way I do, like when I have a decision that I'm unclear on, is I get quiet and I ask, and I may not even get guidance in the meditation that I'm currently doing. I'll get guidance down the road. Like, I'll just be open and I'll walk through my life, and then all of a sudden I'll be in a conversation with someone and an idea will hit me. Oh my God, this is what I need to do. And it'll be coming right out of their mouth. Or I'll see it in a commercial, or my daughter will say it to me or something. It'll come through. The idea will hit me of what the intuitive thing is once I've put it out there, and it will come in its own time. And you have to be patient to allow it to come as it comes. And if it's something that there's a time sensitiveness to you making the decision, then what you have to do in that case, if you don't have that revelatory, oh, this is it, Then what you have to do is take the idea that is the next best one. Like you need to, okay, this, I didn't have an aha, but this is the closest to an aha idea I had, so I'm going to follow that. That's how you do it. That's totally how you need to follow it, okay? Now, last thing, we're at 20 minutes. Yeah, okay. Last thing I'll say is, maybe it's the last thing I'll say, I don't know. I'm going to like get it all out if I can. Third part is to do the experiment, to actually do the experiment of, once you start having these ideas that feel like a more intelligent idea than you've come up with before, that just popped in your head. Once you've started having these like, oh, that felt intuitive, to do that. Like I felt intuitively led to text you, even though I haven't thought of you in 5 years. Well, it's so amazing you just texted me because I was thinking about you too. Like when you have the courage to start doing little experiments, start with little experiments. When you have the courage to do that, you're going to see that there's crazy shit that will happen in your life because you're doing these intuitive things. Like it'll be stuff like what I just said, where you think of texting somebody and then you realize, oh my God, they were thinking about me too. Like, what are we plugged in? What's this? You know, you start having what I call synchronicities. You think, boy, I really feel like it's time for me to actually take care of the plumbing. Like, I've got a clogged toilet. I need to call the plumber. I haven't called them in 3 months. Okay, I'm going to do it today. And then the doorbell rings and it's a plumber saying, hey, do you need help? Like, stuff like that. Like, as you start aligning with the intuitive path, all you need to do is start doing tiny little experiments. Do experiments into your universe. Throw them out there and see how they respond. You just do it. You know, don't listen to me. Don't think that I have to convince you. You do the experiment yourself and see what happens. That's how I started. I just started doing the experiment. And what happened was, it became so much fun what started to happen and how my life was changing for what perceives to be the better. My business is growing. I'm getting healthier. I'm feeling better. It's like the more I surrendered to, okay, universe, give me guidance on what to do here. Oh, that feels like a pretty intuitive thing to do. I'll do that. Whoa, that feels even more intuitive. No, I'll do that instead. Thank you. Yeah, got you. Like the more that I have been doing this experiment, well, unbelievable. And it doesn't mean it's been peaches and cream and happy hunky-dory time. I mean, I've had stuff happen. Scary stuff happen as I've been on this path. But fulfilling as I can't tell you. It's not, this path doesn't mean that things aren't going to be, you know, you're not going to have challenges come up, and challenges will come up, and that's okay. You just get to a place of existing where you don't care. Like you're tapped into something that's guiding you, that has proven that it's working, that you're willing to walk through things that you never even thought you could. And that's the straight up truth. When you listen, when you feel the right intuitive guidance, and when you do the experiment to follow it, just do the experiment. Just try it. Like, see if it works for you. If it doesn't work for you, go back to thinking, unconscious thinking, fearful thinking, and try that for a while. See if that makes you feel better. Just do the experiment. That's my invitation to you. Just give it a shot. Did I say everything I needed to say? So it's 23 minutes. I needed a 23-minute video. Okay. I'm sure as soon as I click this, I'll be like, oh, I should have said this. There was another thing I thought of that I wanted to say. Last thing I'll say, patience is a big thing to learn about this. Like, you have to allow it to happen. Don't force it. You can't force intuitive guidance. It will come to you. And you can learn to live more and more in that state of being. That's it. All right. I can't talk about this anymore. It's been a lot. Sending you all an insane amount of love. Have a beautiful day. Cheers.